So, new build video. Here we are. And I'm going to call this guy the Shepherd. Alright. I kind of wanted to make a healer that could kind of follow a werewolf around. And they could do it very well. But then I was like, I'm going to make a stamina healer. And then everyone was talking about hybrid. So this guy is a stamina healer, but he's technically hybrid in how he plays. And hybrid's all about, do you leverage both your resources? For example, a Magicka Templar healer isn't really using stamina skills. He or she is going to be using Magicka skills to heal, and just having stamina to really block, roll dodge, and CC break, and potentially sprint. That's about it, right? Now why this guy's a hybrid is he's healing with stamina, so I still do those things with stamina, except blocking. Blocking is going to dig into our Magicka pool. But, the rest of my stamina is actually my main heal. And but we get some extra healing through Magicka as well, and a lot of utility. Even though it's a stam healer, you really don't have a lot of options as a stam healer. In fact, outside of a Warden, it'd be very difficult to be a stamina healer. In fact, I don't think anyone else really can. You can do healing with like shields and vigor maybe, but not really too great. That's like a supplementary healer. This guy is a stamina healer, so he has Soothing Spores, which is a stamina heal, and then Vigor. Those are literally the only two stam skills we have. Everything else is Magicka, or free. The Bull Netch is free. But I'll go over the skills real quick. We'll do the equipment. I'll show you the style, because people are always asking the style, so we'll show you the great style points put into here. And then I'm going to talk about the build, show gameplay. Alright, show gameplay please. We'll go through that and just generally talk about what it's doing and how it plays. It will take some practice. I've gone through a lot of iterations of this build, arriving at this, and I'll kind of talk about that too. So anyway, skills. Soothing Spores is the Warden heal. Alright, Time Freeze, which is in the Psijic skill line. This is our big AoE CC. Then we have Frost Clench. Alright, this is a root. Mobilizes for a while. Very useful. On top of that, you need a Destro skill on your bar if you want to use an Ice Staff to block, which we are. I will show that. Generally, blocking with anything costs stamina in the game. However, if you use a Destruction Staff and it happens to be a Frost, you can then switch it in to, down here, equipping a Frost Staff reduces the cost of blocking. So, we're basically turning this into, I'm going to use my Magicka to block. Now, I started off this build with Sword and Board, but I felt healing with stamina, and then when I'm really in those tight situations and I'm blocking a lot, I had no stamina to heal. Once I was empty, I was done. And so were my teammates. This has really allowed me to keep going and going, more so than the others. So, Vigor. This is a heal over time. Pretty strong. You can keep this one running. A big part of this build is running a lot of heal over time potential. And that's going to go hand in hand with the equipment. Shimmering Shield. This is defensive. This also builds ult Major Heroism. I kind of use this all the time on Warden. I feel Major Heroism is too good to pass up. Alright, 3 ult every 1.5 for 6 seconds. It's very strong. And then I have Permafrost here, which gives major protection to everybody, but you also use this very offensively. So basically when you clash into groups, you can do a lot with this. And this build, by the way, right now, I'll explain it. You can adapt it into more things and switch up skills, but what I'm showing you is built for non-CP in Battlegrounds. Alright, that is really what we're targeting here with this build. Nature's Embrace. So this launches a vine, you swing yourself to an ally. This also puts a heal over time on you and them, and you get a little ult. But it's another heal over time. It's great for mobility. It's great for keeping up with stam players that are very quick. You can stay in the fight without having to sprint to them. You can keep up with anything. Ice Fortress. This is your AoE armor buff. But, you know, it also gives you minor protection. You can use this to buff people. When my groups do group up, I do try to recast this to keep it on them. Some people drop their armor buffs, which as a result, they will take a lot of damage. And you can prevent that just by throwing this in every now and then. Again, reason I was looking to have like kind of like a werewolf, like a shepherd to the werewolf, is they can put up Ice Fortress. Werewolf will be fixed in Murkmire. If you don't know, Werewolf's been bugged the whole time. It doesn't get its 10k armor passive right now. When it actually does and you have Ice Fortress on top of it, they will be quite a force. They'll be mitigating a lot of damage. Leeching Vines. So this is another Magicka hot, so to speak. You put this on yourself or someone else or whatever. I generally am always putting this on someone else because it kicks in the passive here. Nature's Gift. When you heal an ally with a green bounce, okay, with green bounce abilities, you gain 250 Magicka or Stam. Alright, that's a lot of resources right there. Every 10 seconds, it's 2,500. This is probably overlooked by a lot of people that play Warden and don't realize how strong that is. That's like heavy armor on crack. With Vines, it has a cooldown of 1 second. In combat, this is just proccing every second. So it's a nice thing to add. Plus the heal is great. That's a heal over every second. And on top of it, I have the morph that gives minor lifesteal. You can put the other one in, which isn't bad either. It gives a little burst heal at the end. I like the lifesteal because in Battlegrounds, you're not getting a lot of people putting up lifesteal. And basically, if you put this in the middle of like a 4v4 brawl or whatever, 4v4, like lots of people are getting tagged with minor lifesteal. So even the guy that doesn't have Vines will get helped by doing damage. Everyone's getting a little heal over time here. A lot of heals over time, but they're very effective with people, especially people that can also take care of themselves a little bit. Heals over time help assist from needing those bursts all the time. Green Lotus. All right. We had questions why we have Green Lotus, because again, we are Stam focused. The other one is Lotus Blossom, which is the Magicka version, but we want Major Savagery. All right. This skill is very important, and the more I played this build, the more I figured out how effective this is. Not just for the passive. The passive, cool. It's nice. Major Savagery. It means you can crit your heals, and you have a lot of things like Vigor running and, you know, your burst heals. So when they crit, that's great. But the healing off that, the heavy attacks, are quite insane, actually. Because we're pairing this up with a Resto Staff on the back bar. With a Resto Staff, if you heavy attack, you get Major Mending for 3 seconds, which you're going to want to be doing. But with Green Lotus, you get a heal off the heavy attack. So, and the Resto Staff also heals with a heavy attack. So you get like a double heal with Major Mending and extra Magicka returned. Heavy attacking with the Resto. It's pretty nuts. Lastly, Bullnetch. And this will be buff next patch. So you're actually going to get more Stam back from this next patch. And we want that one. And this one buffs Major Sorcery and Brutality. So it's kind of nice. But we want the Stam return, not the Magicka. People asked about that. The other one purges, that's nice. But you want the Stam. And then Light's Champion, which is the Resto ult. Now, for the most time I've played this build, I've used Healing Thicket. And I had Thicket on the front bar and Ice Storm on the back. Problem with Healing Thicket is it's just not always reliable. It doesn't go off a lot. There's a lot of times your guy casts it and it doesn't actually go down. I got fed up with it. If the skill worked better, I would probably use it full time. It's a little cheaper. It's very nice. If your group actually sticks together and they run as 4, and something with this build, I get in the game, I always tell my team, stick together, team. Because if they do, everything goes better. This is kind of meant for Battlegrounds, at least where I'm at in PCNA. It's been a lot of group play. A lot of people grouping up. A lot more Ice Wardens rooting. Just in general, people are sticking together. And Healing Thicket's great in a situation like that. If you don't have Permafrost up, because Permafrost is even better in that situation. It gives you major protection to everybody. Okay? So there's the skills in short. Let's shoot to the equipment. So let's start with the monster set. We have Earthgore. Okay? night and day when I put Earthgore on. I believe this set's a little broken, okay? Shocker, right? I haven't used it forever. With that said, it gets wasted a lot in Battlegrounds, especially if you have teammates that just won't stick with you, won't listen, or won't defend themselves. What I'm talking about are the 18k HP Magicosaurus that don't put shields up and are wondering why they're dying so quick. These guys will instantly eat your Earthgore and not get healed. That part sucks. Every other part of it is great. It flows so great with the idea of lots of heals over time going. The moment someone drops below that threshold, boom, Earthgore kicks in. It's a great supplementary burst here. It fits this better than, you know, anything I would do on my Templar, really, for healing. Then we have Shacklebreaker. All right, this is just great resources across the board. And if you notice, everything is tri-enchanted. I tri-enchant everything. It's 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. Okay, light belt, medium gloves. Shacklebreaker is self-explanatory. You put this is active on both bars. The other one that's active on the back bar is Trappings of Invigoration. And this comes from Fang's Lair. This gives recovery, max stam, and then it gives a burst of stamina. All right, every 1 minute. Reason I ended up putting this in is, again, it goes pretty well in non-CP. This helps a lot. For burst healing, those situations where you just absolutely have to dump a lot of heals because your team just got laid into, and now the fight's still going, but you need more stam. You can't recover your stam with heavy attacks because you're using an Ice Staff and a Resto. It is a sacrifice. I started with Sword and Board and Two-Hander, but I had a lot more success blocking with Ice because it allowed me to conserve my stamina. And then I had even more success with Resto on the back bar because the heavy attacks are very nice. I'm going to show you that in the gameplay. Basically, if you get low stats, you can swap to your back bar and it will proc this set. All you have to do is use a skill. Things that don't count as a skill is Bullnetch. Everything else casted on here counts as a skill. So what I mean is, if you have no stamina left, Bullnetch will not proc it. You need to at least be able to cast one of these. And usually I do Vines, because Vines is kind of our cheapest here. It is. So usually, when I'm low stamina, I swap to the back bar. I'll Vines whoever's under pressure. It'll proc. I'll go back to the front bar and continue healing. All right. Another big thing with this heal, it's the same thing as Templar, but if you don't know this and you never learned it anywhere or no one taught you, you want to block cast. Okay? What I'm doing is I'm casting the heal, and I'm hitting block. Trust me. It's going to make your life a lot better. It's going to go off quicker. Rather than just sitting there and going heal, right? You can go heal. Like, it flows better. Make sure you block cast or heal. When people are under pressure, block cast them. So that's okay. And yeah, right. And then the rest of the equipment. Oh yeah, the jewelry. So I have 2 trappings of invigoration here, 1 on the body. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then the back bar is the 5. I've infused pot cooldown with Argonian passive, so your resources are just flooding in. I pretty much, the way I see it is, if you want to do hybrid anything, your best way to go is Argonian for starters. Being able to leverage this is good on support builds. You don't need your offensive stats as much, and this gives you a ton of sustain, and it's just pouring non-stop. So this means your pot cooldown is pretty low. You know, it's like 22 or 4 seconds. Whatever it is, it's low. Now, what I combine this with, this is like my Eternal Justice build. Same concept, pot cooldown. And I'll probably make more support builds like this because it rides the same vein of hybrid use. Basically, you're using all your magic and stamina for something, right? A lot of utility builds may just use magicka, and it's like, cool, I have stamina to sprint and block. No, this is using both for skills. You're dumping all your resources as much as you can to do as much as you can for your party. So I use 2 different pots. Okay? We have one that gives Expedition and restores health. Alright. Depending how they nerf Major Expedition, we'll see next patch what we do here. You don't need Expedition on this build. It's just nice to have. The Lingering Health is very useful for self-survival. The other one I use is just tripods, okay? So basically, and this is self-explanatory, so you get major to all and a big resource return. Now, if I'm really in a pinch and the battle's really heated, I will stick to my tripods. If it's not heated and I have breathing room between the fights, I reapply this Lingering Pot, because in 20 seconds I'm going to have this one back up again. Okay? That's generally how that goes. Alright, so there's your equipment. Oh yeah, and then the Ice Staff, I use a Master's Ice Staff. Alright? And by the way, I'm not sure about the traits. I like what I have right now, and I kept this. I have an infused weapon damage on the back bar, because you're on the back bar, you want to tag people. It gives you a little weapon damage buff for a little, which is nice. Up front, my enchant I didn't even worry about. I have one that restores magic. I may do the one that restores stamina. That would probably make more sense to put that on here. And then Precise, which actually went pretty well. I have pretty decent weapon crit for being a guy in heavy, you know, which means you're critting your heals. While I'm at it, I did run this build at first a little bit in medium, and it worked very well. I was more susceptible to getting bursted. If I wanted to run medium, I could, say, flip my attributes, which look like this. I have 10 in health and 54 in stam. I can maybe put this up to 25 or something in health, or 30, and go medium if I wanted. I wouldn't do it in Battlegrounds. I think in Battlegrounds it's better like this. If you go open world, and it, like, here's the thing about this build. This build's awesome. I think a lot of people will pick this build up and actually start using it in group play. If you get negated, you can keep healing. You are not affected by negate. You heal right through that shit. You'll proc Earth Gore. Because you have so many hots running on everybody, the Earth Gore will proc. And it goes very well with this setup. Also, next patch, if you want major toughness, you need a Warden. And this guy can keep it up on everybody because he's running Echoing Vigor. It's hitting everybody. It's good for a lot of reasons there. But you could drop, say, especially if you were in a CP campaign, you wouldn't need Trappings of Invigoration. This is where you can put a support set, and there's a lot of